Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is the third and final video of my prep for the Superior hiking trail trip this fall. This video is going to be about my food and my water supply. This is, as I mentioned in my previous videos, a 250-mile long trail over the course of 3 weeks, and water and food are the single heaviest items that I will be carrying. The good news is that as I go, I'll be consuming them, but I need a strategy to replenish them so I'm not carrying 3 weeks worth of food and water all at the same time. So we'll talk a little bit about what I'm going to do for both of those two issues. So let's start by talking about my plans for water. Water is the single heaviest item that I'll have in my bag. Each liter of water weighs 2.2 pounds. So I'll want to make sure I have enough water to be safe while also trying to carry as little as possible, trying to find that fine balance. Therefore, I'm going to be using water filtration heavily on this trip. So the good news about this part of the country is that water should be plentiful. There should be plenty of lakes, streams, rivers, and in some cases beaver ponds that I'll be drawing water from. I don't want to drink any of that water straight out of the ground though. I will want to be filtering it, and so that is where my water filter comes in. I am using the Survivor Pro X mechanized water filter. This is definitely not standard for through hiking, which prioritizes lightweight gear, but this is fast, this is easy, I don't need to think about it, and the batteries that come with it I can recharge from my power bank. So I am definitely taking the hit on weight on this to get that benefit of convenience. So once the water has passed through my filter, I will need someplace to store the clean water in, and that is where I will be using Smart water bottles. This is simply your Smart water bottle brand. Each a liter. They hold water really well, and they are pretty durable. I will basically be carrying 2 of these in my side pockets, as I showed in my gear video. And if I need to carry more, I have the extra Ziploc bag in case of emergency, but typically we'll only carry these 2 liters of water. I have replaced the basic caps with these Sport water bottle caps. They're kind of your standard flip and then one-handed kind of bottle caps rather than having to take 2 to unscrew it. Just a little ease of use should help me not have to stop and slow down when I'm drinking water out on the trail. In conjunction with the water strategy, I will also be bringing electrolyte mix. This is Element Electrolyte Mix. This is basically giving me extra electrolytes which will help my body absorb the water. One of the more common risks that you see with through hiking is people will be pounding water all day, but it's not getting absorbed in the body and passes straight through and you're dehydrated anyway. My food strategy is going to be a little different because I can't just renew it in the field like I can with water. So I have my trip divided up into 4 segments. There's a 3-day segment, a 5-day segment, a 5-day segment, and a 3-day segment. And basically at the end of each of these segments, I will be going to or ending at a town of some kind where I am going to have a package waiting for me with all this food that I am going to be preparing. At each of these locations, I have contacted a trail-friendly business who has agreed to hold a package for me. So I'll send the package, make sure it's there a day or 2 before I'm set to arrive, and then they will hold it until I get there to pick it up to reclaim my food. So another thing that I am doing to cut down on my weight a little bit is not bringing my stove or fuel for the stove because I don't need it. I'm instead going to be using the process of cold soaking, which is where you have pre-dehydrated food that is already cooked, but all the water has been sucked out of it. So I just need to reintroduce water and let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour to rehydrate. This has a couple advantages. A, weight savings, I don't have to worry about that, and B, time savings. If I know I'm going to be having dinner in an hour, I can just quickly stop for 3 minutes. I can pour water into my food container, let the food rehydrate while I keep hiking. I don't have to stop, boil water for dinner. So I'm efficient time-wise and weight-wise using this cold soaking method. For my food container, I am bringing a Talente Gelato container. It is just going to be a reusable plastic container that is an appropriate size for the type of food that I'm bringing, and then my Sea to Summit spoon, which you would have seen in my gear video. All of the food itself, I am repackaging in Ziploc bags. The Ziploc bags are going to be lighter weight than the actual packaging the food comes in, so I'm saving a little bit of weight there. Every night as well, I am in black bear country, so I'll be using a bear hang. I have, as you saw in my gear video, a little bag and rope that I'll be using to throw over a branch in the tree. Pull the food bag up and tie it off along the trunk of the tree to prevent bears and other animals from getting into my food overnight. All right, so let's talk about what specific food I'm going to bring on the trail. So starting with breakfast, I am going with a product called Oats Overnight. It is exactly as it sounds, overnight oats with various different flavors. I'll basically be bringing one of these bags per day to get me going. Throw it in my Talenti container overnight with water, and the product does recommend that you use milk instead of water. So I do have powdered milk as well. Again, I'll just mix the powder in with this every night, throw in the milk, and then I basically get the product as it's intended to be used. I have tested it at home with the powdered milk and it is still delicious. In addition, for breakfast, the same company, they do a protein coffee that can be worked as cold brew, which is perfect because I'm not bringing a stove. So basically I have enough for 1 cup of this coffee every morning as well to help me get going. All right, so the next meal every day, of course, is lunch. And so for lunch, I'm gonna have 2 different strategies. The first is on every segment, I'm gonna be bringing with me this summer sausage, and then in every town, be buying some cheeses. So summer sausage has been preserved and hard cheeses will last a few days without refrigerating. So my intent is to basically eat the sausage and cheese as kind of a charcuterie the first 3 days in between towns. Now, if I have, like I do twice, sections that require me to be outside of town longer than 3 days, I don't want to trust on this to last the other 3 days. So for those extra days, I'll be making additional dinners. For my dinner and those few lunches, I am going to be going through a rotation of 6 different meals. I have a Southwest couscous, I have a tomato basil orzo, I have a spicy mushroom ramen, I have a tuna pasta salad, I have a buffalo pasta salad, and then I have a spicy Italian pasta. They may use different grains, different pastas, but they all have a lot of the same basic ingredients. So I was able to double up on ingredients when I was buying things, and then there is some variety in the spices and sauces used, which is where I'm getting the flavor difference. So most of these meals are from the folks over at Backcountry Foodie, which is a paid service that provides a ton of backcountry recipes, and as such, since several of them are behind that paywall, I'm not going to be able to share those recipes. But for my buffalo pasta salad and my Southwest couscous, those were just found online, and those 2 recipes I will post down in the description below. I did mention many of my meals are locked behind paywalls, so I don't want to share them without permission. But one of the ones that is out there for public, I just want to step you through so everyone can get a sense on what the meal looks like. So I'm going to do the buffalo pasta salad, and it will start with some pasta. This is pasta I have cooked, and then using a dehydrator, have dehydrated so that I can just rehydrate it when the time comes. All right, now that the pasta is in my bags, I'm going to start adding some of the other freeze-dried ingredients. So I have freeze-dried bell peppers. I'm going to be adding a tablespoon of that to each of my meals I'm going to make. Next, it calls for a teaspoon of the red peppers. So again, I have some freeze-dried red peppers I bought. I'm putting a little bit extra simply because I like red pepper. And then for a lot of these meals, I like to improvise a little bit. So while the peppers and onions are great, I'm also going to be adding some dried tomato flakes in there, as well as some soy protein flavored with chicken, so that I get a little bit more protein in there, a couple more calories. So I'll add a little bit of both of these to each of my bags. So once all the dry ingredients are in there, I make sure I have the bag labeled. This one's labeled as buff. Then I squeeze all the excess air out of it and zip it up. And if the recipe calls for a separate seasoning, I will have a separate smaller bag that I will put the seasoning in. This one does call for a buffalo seasoning, so I will put that in this separate little bag. In addition, many of these recipes also call for oils or other dressings that are a little bit wetter, need to be stored, so I can utilize the packages they have in fast food restaurants. So for example, this particular one requires mayonnaise. So I do have mayonnaise packets that I have grabbed from local stores, local cafeterias, and I will be bringing these single serving mayonnaise packets with me as well for this recipe. So that is my water solution and my food solution for the thru hike coming up. A lot of preparation beforehand rather than buying a lot of stuff out on the trail. But I believe that should, again, give me greater control over what I'm putting in my body in terms of nutrition, as well as saving a little bit of money with all this prep beforehand. Thank you guys all for watching. Hope you guys learned a little bit about food and water options on a thru hike. Please check the link in the descriptions for the few recipes I'll be able to share. And then like and subscribe the video for more on my thru hike, which next video should be me on the trail. Look forward to seeing you guys out there.